Alright, well, guess we're doing this. I decided to follow my own advice on this one, and instead of just kind of like lazing around, waiting for things to happen, waiting for the perfect moment for stuff to start, you know, coming up with ideas for the perfect first video and then going through and actually doing it later, I decided to just start. Because it just been taking way too long to actually start. I was sitting around, thinking of making these different video edits, and then realizing I didn't actually have the hardware to get around to those video edits, nor did I have the time. And then I was sitting around thinking that I would make the perfect script for the starting video, going through all the different things, all the different thoughts in my head, and didn't have the time for that one either. Well, I guess I did have the time, just not. I'm sure you guys get what I mean. Anyone listening to this, I'm sure gets what I mean. You come up with an idea, you go out, you think of all the different ways you can do that idea, and then never actually get around to it because there's just the different thing that's just a little more important, you know? Or you don't have the skills necessary to do it, so you sit around watching 70 different YouTube videos on how to get all the different skills to actually be able to do the thing that you want to do. And that's happened to me way too many times in my life for me to actually fall for that trap again. So I decided that I'm just gonna start. So, you're probably wondering who I am and what this is all about. My name's Vaughn. Nice to meet you. And this channel is actually for me. So, ironically enough, I didn't actually need to, you know, talk to anybody watching this. But I figure if you're spending your time watching it, I might as well, have some decency to at least acknowledge your existence. Uh, the idea behind this channel is pretty much in the name, scream into the void. I think it's my scream into the void. Um, I didn't prep this, I'm pretty sure it shows. But what I wanted to do was have some sort of catalog for my growth. I go through and I pick up hobbies faster than most people can say the alphabet, and I drop them just as fast. So I've gone through and I've done pretty much every common thing you'd expect in the book, and then those things that are a bit more uncommon too. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to put all of those different skills into a catalog of just all of the different things that I wanted to do. I suppose that doesn't make much sense, and I'm doing a little bit of rambling. Let me be a little bit more clear on this. I love to create stuff. Just all kinds of things. Sculpture, music, art, just all stories, all the things. All the things I just love to create. And sometimes that's hard to do. And it's hard to look back on all the progress that you've made and realize that you're actually doing something. And, things get in the way, things seem more important, you get distracted by social media, it's hooks get into you. But I finally just sat down and decided that I was going to make a YouTube channel about all of the things. Just going through and working on myself. One of the things that I thought about for a script, the penultimate script that would do all the stuff, was starting talking about the fact that you can be anyone you want to be on the internet. And so I started thinking about that concept. Anyone you want to be. That's pretty crazy, honestly. It's it's incredible that we have the ability to go onto a place almost anyone can access and Don Quixote our way into these personas. Going through and, well, I suppose a lot of people don't actually Don Quixote. They don't go the full Don Quixote, but they present themselves as these. I've seen several people go through and present themselves as these people who are flawless, and then the opposite too. I've seen people just pick at their own flaws over and over and over again. And so I sat down for a while and thought, if I could be anybody, who would I want to be? And then I realized, why would I just do that over the internet? You know, if I could be anyone, why would I choose to just be that person when online? And I continued to think about it, and I'm like, well, if I could be anyone, I'd want to be someone who does better than they did last time. Someone who just who puts a little bit more effort every time they do something, you know? Like they work on themselves just that little bit extra. They see something that they could fix and they fix it, right? And so I thought to myself, well, if I was going to start doing this, I'd have to start, right? And I can't just go on there and just take on way too much than I can handle, right? I think I think something Jordan Peterson said at some point was, find something that someone as pitiful and pathetic as you can actually do. And it comes off really harsh, right? He uses this language that is very bristly. It's a language that a lot of people don't like to listen to these days because people don't like to deal with things that, that hurt them, that call them out on stuff, that make them feel lesser than they want to be. And, fair enough. I don't like that either. When I was sitting around back in my school days and all my classmates were like, railing on me for not actually doing my homework because I didn't give a crap about it, then yeah, it definitely puts some pressure on you. But I went through and thought about it, and it's like, okay, so I have to start, and I have to start in a way that I can manage and that, is actually hard. Like I always say, I have a lot of different things that I say to a lot of my family. So, if I didn't actually start this, then I'd be a hypocrite. And, I'm not a fan of hypocrites. So I had to actually start. But something I always say to a lot of my family is the hardest step is the first one. And then I ask them a question. What's the most important step? And if it's the first time we've done this song and dance, almost all of them will answer the first one. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. The hardest step is the first one. Because, you have to actually get momentum. You have to start. You have to do the things. The most important step is always the next one. Because it's nearly impossible to finish a project without constantly working on that project, right? Like if you're sitting down and you can finish a project from step one, then it was a chore, not a project. It's just like a check on the checkbox. It's not really anything to like sit down and be proud that you worked on that thing. There's very few things that you can do where it's like, okay, cool, step one, all right, now I'm done, I finished, I did it. So So I sat down and I'm like, okay, I have to start, and I want to be someone who does who does a little bit better every time they do stuff, you know? Someone who constantly progresses in life. And so I sat down and I thought to myself, is that someone I'm trying to be off of the internet? And I came to the conclusion that in most cases, the answer is yes. And I went, wow, okay, great. I'm almost all the way there. It's I took that first step a while ago, apparently. But then I thought about it and I'm like, okay, where is the next place I can, work on myself? It's like I can work on my art, I can work on my music, I can work on my business, I can work on, making money, I can work on finally getting to that driver's license that everyone's been hounding me about. But I think that the place to start would be the one that I was constantly just pushing off a little bit. Which brings me to here, like the one project, the penultimate project of a YouTube channel. It's like, well, anyone can start a YouTube channel. All you need is a microphone and a camera. In my case, just a microphone. But it's like the one thing anyone can do, and if you're lucky enough and you seize onto that, then you can raise into the ranks and you can become a star. It's like, well, I don't think I actually want that, right? Because if I was trying to be a star on YouTube, I wouldn't have started with this kind of video, the way I see it, unless I decide to do something crazy afterwards. It's just going to be me talking with a blank screen. So, you know, apologies for all of you short attention span people who have somehow made it this far, and also congratulations, good job. Takes a lot to actually, work on yourself and realize that, maybe I don't need the constant stimulus in my life. But kind of losing my train of thought here, aren't I? Happens a lot. What I was going to do is, you know, work on the thing that I'd just been pushing off a little bit, right? I have a few different things that have deadlines and have, whatever, and I've been pushing off those things to get a little closer to the deadline because I don't actually need to work on them, right? And there's some other things I could work on that are more important, the ebb and flow of life, of constantly managing what needs to get done and when it needs to get done, and the hierarchy of what should get done first. But this thing was just something that was never on the checklist. It was always like up there on my whiteboard, but never in the checklist area of like, get this done today, right? Because every time I would think to get that done today, I would go, oh, I could, compile a whole bunch of different YouTube videos where it's like all of the different people I've been watching telling you that you should just go out and create stuff. And, take all of those different clips and put them into one thing, and then just go at the very end and do like some sort of anime-esque thing of like, fine, I guess I'll start, right? And then that would be the first video I would put out. And then I went through and I'm like, okay, well, that would be pretty impressive for a first video. It'd be pretty fun to do, but it's totally out of my wheelhouse of things to get done right now. And there's no way I have the time for it. So, at least not in any capacity where it would start getting done. Because I could work on it for like 2 years, just in between spaces of different hobbies and different work things and different side quests and different projects and different family stuff, all the things, just shoehorn it in every so often and slowly chip away at it and compile all the different things. And but some part of me realized that that was never actually gonna be a realistic goal for me to get done. So then I thought, okay, well, what if I like sit down and video record myself working on this new art program, right? So I finally got like into digital art recently instead of just the physical mediums. And it's like, well, I could record myself working on the digital art and then have that in the background of my thing. And I'm not against that idea. It's just it was one extra step to actually getting it out. And as someone who knows the struggles of actually doing things and realizes that the more contingencies and the more aspects and the more add-ons you put onto something before you've actually started it, the less likely you are to actually go out and do it. So I decided to scrap all of that, even if I like even scrapping the idea of like taking some sort of AI program and putting the words over the black screen, because that would just be one extra step to getting it out. I don't think I'm even going to edit this audio clip, so, you know, what a wonderful idea for a first video. This has definitely killed my ability to, raise in the ranks of YouTube. But I don't really care about that. It's like, why would I care about a whole bunch of people, respecting me on the internet? Now there's an aspect of that where it's if you get a huge group of people on the internet and all of them are talking, or almost all of them are talking about how they like your stuff, you're probably doing something right, So there's a nice aspect to that. But well, there's also the aspect of it of like you get all of the different opinions of a plethora of people across the internet, and that allows you to like actually look at yourself in a more objective manner. And that, looking at yourself in a more objective manner is just like the pinnacle of anyone who wants to improve themselves. And so that's nice too, but I got I got people in real life to keep me in check for that one. But yeah, it's the fame aspect of it didn't really call to me. Like it'd be cool if I was, but like that's not what I would start a YouTube channel for. If I was going to start a YouTube channel, I'd start it from me, because the goal of it would be to be the person I'd want to be on the internet, right? Which is someone who creates and someone who works on themselves just a little bit more every time. And I think if I mash both of those together, then whether or not I get famous on the internet, it'll be a rewarding experience. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway I care about is, do I get something out of doing this? Right? It's like, well, what would be the difference between doing this and sitting on a recording and just talking to yourself with a recording and not actually posting it? And well, there's a fear aspect of it, the fear of rejection, sitting out there. The internet can totally be brutal sometimes, which, fair enough. I too have had my own brutal moments, but yeah. So like getting smacked down over the internet, the fear of rejection is definitely one that's scary. But the scarier part than I think of just the rejection would be like justified criticism, where if someone like absolutely tears you apart for completely valid reasons, they just sit down on there for some reason, you like ticked off their day just a little bit. It's like, why did the algorithm give me this video? And then just goes through every single piece of like your audio is bad, XYZ, you should have done this, you should have done that, and like it's all completely valid. it's like, well, dang, that's terrifying. Someone who will absolutely be brutally honest with you and tear you apart. That's a terrifying thought. But I think the real fear of doing it would probably be everyone will sit down and like at some point have an idea of grandeur in their head, like, oh yeah, I could absolutely do that if I tried. Oh yeah, I could go through and do XYZ with it, right? They see someone go and like work at a sport that they've been doing for years of their life, and they're like, I could do that better if I actually worked on that. So there's that idea of it would be terrifying if that wasn't true. But it would be even more terrifying if it was true and you didn't do anything about it. Like just for a second. You have the ability to like do anything you could possibly want in life. And the reason why you don't get the things that you want in life is cuz you don't actually try. Like the most terrifying thing would be if you are the person who is stopping you from getting all of the things you want in life. Cuz then you wouldn't even have an excuse, It'd be like it's like, why am I miserable? It's like, well, you're the reason why you're miserable. It's like, oh, uh that huh, right? It's like you can't even if you looked at it objectively, you wouldn't even be able to fight that claim, If you have all of the potential to do all the things that you want to do, and you just fail because you didn't even pick up the batting stick, right? Oh, yeah, I could get a home run. Well, why don't you? So, I think that one of the bigger reasons why I hopped on here today specifically, it was because the YouTube algorithm was just not really, up to my taste of what I wanted to watch. They gave me a few good videos, but I didn't really want to watch anything. No new anime episodes have come out. The people I've talked about with my business haven't gotten back to me. There's a few other things I could work on, but this one's been the one nagging at me all week. So I think that there's an aspect of life where if you're not working at something, you're miserable. My dad's talked to a whole bunch of. I listen to him a lot, right? If you still have your parents around, I highly recommend listening to them sometimes, every once in a while at least. You know, you don't know how long they're going to be around, and sometimes they actually have some good things to say. But yeah, my dad, he's talked to a lot of different successful people in his life, and there's this one overarching piece to people who just have like all the money they could possibly want, and almost all of them are just miserable. And I think that that's because they didn't focus on the things that actually mattered. They focused on money, but money isn't actually a thing that matters. It's it's a tool that we can use to get the stuff that we want, right? And if all you focus on is the tool to get the stuff that you want, then by the end of it, you don't even know what you want. And, that's miserable. So it makes sense why why they would be feeling that way. But the other side of the coin is like the ultimate dreamer, where they just sit down and they constantly think about all the different things that they want, and they like work out how they'd get them, and they spend all of their time thinking. And there's this quote that came to me just a second ago. I don't know who it's by, so flame me for that one, I guess. But it goes along the lines of all we do is think, all we'll have to think about are thoughts. And that's kind of a sad thought, you know? If you sit down and you figure out all of the ways that you could actually get all the things that you want and it would work, but you spent so much time thinking that you never actually got around to getting it done. That's just uh, that's just like one of the ultimate tragedies, you know? It's like you get all the way to the point of where you could achieve the thing that you want and you just fall short of it. It's a recipe for being miserable. So, after sitting down and thinking about all the things and realizing I was stuck in my head, I thought that the best thing to do was just to get up, set up the microphone, and record it. So, I don't know however many of these I'm going to do and how often they're going to be. Hopefully for more than just once, you know. But I think the goal for this channel is I do all the different things that I want to do, you know, show off music, art, skills, and do that in a way where they don't overlap in my business stuff, so that I can like actually support myself while doing these things that I like. So my goal is to go through and do all of those things, and after each video, you know, wait for a few hours, let the thoughts marinate for a bit, you know, get a little bit of objectivity back in my system. Go back to the video, watch it, write down 5 things that I could have done better, and choose one of them, and make sure I do that for the next video. And that way, no matter what I'm doing, right, then I can always make sure that I do better. Because, you know, like let's say I choose 5 different things. One of them is visuals, and the other one is music, and you know, one of them is making sure I actually have a script for this. And what it does is it means for the next video that I do, I can choose if I want to focus on my art or my music or my writing. And that way I can go through and like slowly, incrementally, video by video, get better at what I'm doing. And I think that would be the person I'd want to be on the internet. Alright, that's about it. Look forward to the next video, I guess. Alright, bye.